Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh and I'm your co-host with Matthew from the office here at NDIS Property Australia, and you're listening to the SDA Housing Podcast, a show that explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Matthew, how are you?
Very good, very good. How about yourself?
Good. We've been very busy the last 2 months. We've hardly published any episodes at all on the podcast. I think maybe two or three the last 2 months because we've been so busy. What's been happening on your plate the last few months, Matt?
I mean, we're kind of rolling out a bunch of new services. We've had changes to kind of our new brands that we're working on. We've had new staff members, and our focus has kind of been changing in kind of what we offer people and in terms of providing value in the community at large.
Yeah. So let's step back a little bit, Matt. I mean, we've been operating for just over 4 years now as a business.
Yep.
You know, we've really enjoyed our 100% focus on SDA the last 4 years. It's been a bit of a journey for you, hasn't it, Matt?
100%. The business has changed a lot since then. This podcast that you're listening to has changed a lot since then. We've kind of developed both in what we've been doing, our knowledge, and the industry itself has changed a hell of a lot in that time.
Yeah. I guess in a way, we've certainly evolved our experience and our knowledge and our reputation, but also our product offering and our service offering to the investor community across Australia. Because we are, as a brand, NDIS Property Australia, we're working on all facets of NDIS, which relates to property, obviously. And it's important today just for us to touch base with our listeners, just to explain and clarify what those brands are, Matthew. Can you please give us our listeners a bit of insights to the name of these brands to begin with, and we'll talk about what they mean afterwards, yeah?
Yeah, sure. So there's kind of four...
The main brand is, and then the sub-brand, yeah.
So obviously our main business is NDIS Property Australia, which is around property sales for SDA in the NDIS property space. But more recently, I suppose over the last, would you say a year or so?
6 to 9 months, yes.
Yeah, we've rolled out Respite Living, SDA Housing Assist, SDA Advisory Service, and our Build New Homes brand.
So Matt, why, how, what, where... What's the best way to explain to our listeners why we've done these new sub-brands?
I think kind of there's two factors here. There's the changing industry and changes we're seeing in the industry. That's one factor. And then it's also kind of bringing into focus different aspects of NDIS properties and how, I suppose, things which are adjacent to NDIS properties potentially impact what we're doing with property. So we've kind of seen other adjacent industries and what they're doing well, what they could be doing better, how they're related to what we're doing, and trying to kind of integrate that into, leveraging our knowledge in those spaces to deliver value to people who we work with.
Yeah. So, Matt, Debbie and I have been analysing and studying the respite short-term accommodation market for the last 4 years, 3.5 years at least, right? And we, only in the last 6 to 8 months have we really gone heavy with our resources to try and bring awareness to what short-term accommodation is in the NDIS world. And that really is a long-term play for us. And that's why the Respite Living brand, which is a sub-brand of NDIS Property Australia, to help both providers, participants and also investors come to a happy medium to be able to deliver a service, would you say, which is an alternative short-term stay, which we've covered many times in the past year or so, 2 years,
yes,
on our podcast already, to show to the investor market, hey, if you do have a empty SDA HPS house, what could that be used for in terms of other
options?
Yeah, options, yeah.
Yep.
So that's what Respite Living is. Matthew, can you explain what SDA Housing Assist is?
SDA Housing Assist is so that's the second one we'll be talking about today. SDA Housing Assist is essentially a service that we're offering we talk a lot about dead stock and properties out there that don't have participants for whatever reason. They were maybe built in an area which doesn't have a lot of participant interest. They might have been, they might be away from hospitals, shops, recreational areas, transport, etc. Or for whatever reason, they are struggling to find participants. And that's become kind of something which is cropping up more and more in this industry as people or participants move to properties that are better suited to their needs and what they're ultimately looking for. And so we've created that business to kind of assist people who don't currently have participants. And it's not a guarantee that we're going to find participants for your property, but it's kind of a plan B, I suppose, Min.
Yeah. Very, very true. We have a small team of about 4 or 5 staff here who work both across the respite services and also the SDA Housing Assist. Now, I want to elaborate so everyone can understand, this is not our core service. Our core service is really advisory and sales. This SDA Housing Assist brand that we have launched internally is really a backup plan to those investors who have empty houses and are struggling to get any traction with the participant procurement process under their SDA provider that they may have engaged a long time ago. So for whatever reason, they are coming to us complaining about lack of support, lack of results. And we always explain to people, as Matt just said, we don't guarantee any results. We're here to help. We're here to work in parallel with the SDA provider and or SIL provider to try and help procure tenants for their home. And we're merely there to help. That's all we're there to do, So that's Matt. That's SDA Housing Assist.
Yep.
Next one is
SDA Advisory Service.
How did this come about? Do you remember?
Well, I think a lot of people, it goes kind of in junction, and hear me out here, it goes in conjunction, I guess, with SDA Housing Assist in a way, because we're looking at, through that, we've had a lot of people who, for whatever reason, they recognize in the market that there's a lot of cookie cutter builds, there's a lot of people doing the same thing. So it's more, I suppose, people who want more nuance in what they're doing and the different options that are available for them in doing development in SDA, and assisting them in kind of giving them different options, analysing those options, providing data to inform a decision around that, and just essentially providing them with the data needed to make a correct decision around SDA.
So just stepping back a little bit, Matt, it started out as SAS, SDA Advisory Service, as a sales support, advisory support service to other agents, developers and builders. That's what it started out as, right? However, it's evolved to more of a investors coming to us, asking for technical advice on designs, data, financial modelling, and real SDA advice. That's what it has become and we call this our FFS model, the fee for service model, because we very much are a consultancy business where, again, we purely give advice, provide support services to investors and other agents who need advice and technical expertise. And that's where we've been doing a lot of work the last 4 months with small developers or investor developers who want to get independent, third-party, unbiased advice on what to build on that block of land they have. And in our role here, Matthew, you can appreciate this, we're not selling a house. We're not selling a product because they already have the product.
No.
They may have their own builder, they may have their own block of land, but we're merely there to give some form of guidance, which is probably 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks worth of advice work. And we do a lot of detailed work and research. So data research on areas, researching builders on behalf of the client, researching providers on behalf of the client, assisting the concept design work to calculate what is the maximum size product or maximum yield product on that block of land, what is feasible, what will work, what won't work. We do all that crunching of data and numbers to help the investor who owns the block of land usually to work out what is possible to be built on that block of land. Because really, at the end of the day, guys, you need to do your homework due diligence first. Because, they have the block, they have an idea, but is their idea correct or not? Matthew, your thoughts?
100%. So ultimately, there's a lot of people who are out there who they might have a block of land or, they have options in terms of what they could potentially build. And the next question follows on from that is, what do you build? What's best to build? What do I have in terms of my development options on this block? And our primary goal there is not to sell anyone anything, it's just to offer advice on what might be the best routes to go down, informed by data.
And Matthew, the key word here is custom. Custom advice, custom design, custom build. Because every block is different. Every location is different. Every participant is different. You got to build to what the market or community requires of you, yes, as an investor.
And the last one, build new homes. So do you want to speak on this, Min?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so build new homes is kind of, I suppose, it's our side of the business that is not NDIS based, I suppose, NDIS property based, where we're kind of exploring different forms of investment options in the property market, such as fractional, co-living, I suppose they're not exactly regular residential, but they're not NDIS either. So just giving people other options in terms of potential to make cash flow outside of the NDIS.
Because we realize that NDIS property is a complex product to understand, and it is expensive, and it is higher risk than normal, and it is longer to deliver a successful outcome than normal, Matt.
Yep.
So therefore, we realize that not everyone can and should be investing in SDA, and we have been exploring the last 3 to 4 months, just giving new options for our investors, our potential investors, to consider other than just SDA. So that's very important to show that, hey, we're not all about selling, or pushing product down someone's throat. We are realistic enough to know that, hey, you don't have to buy NDIS if you don't want to. If it's a normal house or a normal apartment or a high positive cash flow asset instead, then let's consider it, because we're not all about NDIS, even though we are a branded NDIS as a business. We want to say that we are open-minded and we are able to assist clients in other forms of property investment if necessary. Now, it's not our core business, but it's there as a side hustle for us in the long term to ensure that clients can understand that we're here to help if they do need help. Yeah.
Yep.
So overall, Matt, those 4 brands on top of the main NPA brand, NDIS Property Australia, it does give our listeners and our investors comfort that we are a diversified property business specializing in the NDIS, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah. Well, 100%. Essentially different aspects of what we do, and then kind of bringing them in-house to provide more value, I guess, on top of what we do with NPA.
This allows us to have a focus or a direction to be really advice consultancy based, Matt. It shows that we actually do care on the client experience in this world of NDIS.
And I feel like it solidifies kind of our role as an end-to-end service provider, in the fact that we're not just saying that, we actually have other businesses which help support that goal of being there for the client in whatever way that we can provide value.
Yes, because what if you built in the wrong area? What if you designed the wrong house? What if you chose the wrong builder? What if the data changes on you? You got to have plan B and plan C. And I think in a way, Matt, I mean, our multi-skilled, diverse services and the NPA allow us to give that reassurance to investors that we can assist where necessary, even if they do buy in the wrong area. I mean, we're here to help. That's what we're here to do.
Yep.
Any final words of advice before we hang up this podcast episode?
Oh, just ultimately this episode was to make people aware of our different brands. But if you are out there and you are interested in potentially exploring these options and learning more about it, you can give us a call. You can contact us, and we're happy to kind of bring people in, educate them about what services we can offer and how we can assist them long term and in the short term as they work with us.
Awesome, Matthew. So thank you so much for your time, for being here today, mate.
No worries. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.